What's happening, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of Fighting Words. Anthony Sanfilippo's here. I'm Bob Wankel. Anthony back on the East Coast. I guess actually, Anthony, you've been back on the East Coast now for a few days, but last few in Niagara Falls, right? Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're back in place.
Well, the funny
Literally-
thing is,
Go ahead.
Bob, literally just walked this. So we couldn't record this morning because we were driving back from Niagara Falls, and literally just walked in my front door. And you're like, I got a half hour. I'm like, let's do it.
So I got to go pick up the kids
down.
from the in-laws, the daycare. So we're here. We're talking here on Monday afternoon. Philly's not playing today, not in action, and they really didn't play yesterday either. Anthony, they lose 2 out of 3 in Arizona over the weekend, which I think you and I, if I'm not mistaken, both did correctly get that one. They come out hot on Friday night and a nice win, but then Saturday they fall short. Had an early lead in that game, couldn't hold on to it. And then yesterday it was just like a full-on punt. And one thing I really am appreciative of in terms of this Phillies team is they're much like me. Like, I love the Phillies, and we dial in for 5-6 months every day and really follow this thing. But as I've said on this show numerous times, like, I love football and I love the Eagles, as I'm sure a lot of people listening to this show do as well. Not yourself, Mr. 49er. See, Bosa's out for the year. Tough break.
Yeah. They've had a ton of injuries. But
they are 3-0. But the Phillies kind of just take Sundays in the fall off. They're now 0-3 on NFL Sundays this season, and they were completely non-competitive from almost Jump Street yesterday. And Ranger Suarez was not very good. And I don't think I care, to be honest with you. I'll be totally honest with you. I don't care that the Phillies lost 2 out of 3 games this weekend. They're not getting the 1 seed. They're not going to blow this lead to the Dodgers. Magic number's 2 to clinch the first round bye. They're kind of just stuck in no man's land right now. So the result doesn't really bother me that much in terms of win-loss. I say this now. Hopefully they don't totally fold and I'm singing a different tune come Friday. But I did not love what I saw from the starting pitchers on Saturday and Sunday. Like, Aaron Nola was okay, but like, come on, man. Like, go out there and do it. Like, we kept talking about get on that run to finish the season, really give people some confidence that he's able to turn this thing around. And there's like some encouraging, but it wasn't great. And then Suarez yesterday was just terrible.
David Waitman says perhaps the Phillies just want Arizona to be in that final wild card spot.
Maybe they played like it. I mean, and we'll get to that final wild card spot in a minute because, my God, the New York Mets. But
yeah, so this may be the least prepared I've ever been for one of our shows. Obviously, I was away for the weekend for my anniversary, and I'll tell you that I got to watch very little of Friday night. I watched most of Saturday, not the whole game. And I completely missed yesterday, but obviously I didn't miss anything other than Ranger not looking good. And Alec Bohm four hits, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't miss much of anything. So, but I got roped into Friday night, the whole Nick Castellanos thing, which we'll get into later. So anyway, that said, you're right, Bob. None of this surprises me that they are kind of puttering towards the finish line here. They just want to get to October at this point, and they want to get there healthy and whatever. I don't know. Like, again, I didn't see the entirety of Saturday's game, so I don't want to sit here and say, oh, well, Nola was okay for X, Y, Z, and then the 6th inning gives up the back-to-back doubles at both runs score. You can't let that happen. I'm sure that's what it was. I'm going off of what Rob said.
Yeah.
Where he was pretty happy with his performance. So if the manager was happy with the performance, I guess, okay.
Early in the game, there was a bloop hit that led to a run, and he pitches out of it and gets a double play and kind of limits the damage. And It wasn't like it was a blow-up start. It wasn't a disaster start or anything like that. It just was kind of like that. It happens, and you go, okay, I guess. And I think what we're trending towards, my big takeaway having watched it was, I think we're in a place where he is going to start when they need the 4th starter. I think it's going to be the 3 lefties if it were a situation where you're only really talking about the 3 starters. And I think that they will have a very short leash with him. I think it's a scenario where it's like as soon as there's a sign of a potential blow up, he'll be out of the game. And I think that's the way to thread the needle. Not that you owe it to him to start him, not that you have to really tap into the previous playoff experience and all of that, but what else are you really going to do? And I just think that that's where they're going to land on it. And I think that they'll have some emergency backup options ready to go if he's not right when he does get into that moment, because he's not really shown the ability to navigate out of that moment here since he's returned, or really consistently all this season. But I think they're going to give him an opportunity to see if he can get into a rhythm early and give them 5 innings in a playoff start. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. I really do. And I think it's that, look, if he's pitching well, leave him in. But as soon as he gets into trouble, that's it. They're not even going to be one of those, oh, we're up 4. Oh, he only gave up 1 run and there's 2 guys on, but let him try and get out of this thing. No. Yeah. They're going to get him out of the game. And that's what's going to happen. And so if that's the case and he only ends up giving you 4 or 5 innings, but they're good 4 or 5 innings, the Phillies will take it. They will take it.
Yesterday, I mean, I don't know what you make of the Ranger Suarez start. I know that you were kind of in and out and didn't really see a whole lot of it. It was not good. They were down 6 runs after the second inning. He finished 4 innings pitched, 8 hits allowed, 6 earned, 1 walk. He only struck out 2. He allowed a home run, and he threw 79 pitches to get through those 4 innings too. So he was not particularly sharp. I don't worry about that too much. Certainly didn't love it. I wasn't encouraged by it in any capacity, but I think I'm just at the point with him where I'm like, I think I know what we're going to get out of him in a playoff start. It's going to be work into some jams, work out of them. I think he gets you through 5 or 6. I think he gives you a chance to win a game. I don't know that what I saw yesterday really changes my opinion or my expectation of what you'll get out of Ranger Suarez in a playoff start.
Yeah, and again, the one thing to keep in mind too, Bob, like these games this past weekend meant a hell of a lot more to the Diamondbacks than they did to the Phillies. And I think that when you kind of look at it from that perspective, maybe the Phillies aren't on their A game. They're still, I mean, I'm not saying that they just sleepwalk through it, but I mean that they're not on their A game, whereas the Diamondbacks were, or at least trying to be, because they're pushing for that last playoff spot. And yeah, I'm the same way. And I think, you might see a thing where Ranger is in a similar boat to Nola. They did it to him before in the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me if they do it to him again, in the sense that he is a guy who go out and pitches until the first sign of trouble, and then you get him out of there. And I think the one thing that seemed, if you want to look at something from this weekend that I thought was most interesting and the Phillies are probably most satisfied with, is the fact that Walker Buehler was able to pitch a few innings as a piggyback on Friday night for Taijuan Walker and look pretty good.
Right.
And so, I think that he's going to kind of be that guy for them. And depending on when they go. So I think in the first round, he could be the piggyback for Ranger. In the second round, he could be the piggyback for Nola, right? Or however they want to kind of put it together. The one thing that we keep saying that, you're not going to need Nola until game 4 of the NLCS, maybe. But the reality of it is that what if you go 5 games?
Yeah.
You're going to need him before game 4, right? So he may end up having to pitch twice, let's just say, in an NLCS. So it's not necessarily, it's only game 4 if you win the NLDS in less than 5 games.
That's right.
Then you don't need them till game 4. So there are possibilities that could come up, and I think that the most satisfying thing for the Phillies was seeing Buehler in that role succeed in that role against a team that is trying to win a game in the Arizona Diamondbacks, right? So I think that's an important factor.
One of the other things, so it's interesting. You look at the box score, you say, all right, they're down 6-0 right away yesterday. They lose 9-2. They really must have just gone quietly, and they didn't. They actually had 11 hits as a team. They went 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position yesterday. Like, that game had all the makings of a shootout. The Phillies just could not come up with situational hits in the game, but they applied quite a bit of pressure throughout. One of the reasons they were able to do that is because Alec Bohm had 4 hits, as you mentioned at the top of the show, and he comes back this weekend and he goes 8 for 13 with a double, a home run. And, it was a strong showing for him. And I kind of wondered, he's missed some time. They had not really missed a beat with him out of the lineup. Otto Kemp had shown some flashes. I just wondered aloud. I didn't know that if we were there or not, but I kind of wondered if there was a world where if Bohm came back and was ice cold and he was, just beating the ball into the ground and slamming his helmet. And it looks like the same old Alec Bohm stuff. If they would possibly consider going a different direction in the postseason. And I don't love Otto Kemp at third base either from a defensive standpoint, but I just wondered. So I do wonder to what extent. I don't wonder it anymore. I think that this weekend, Bohm shows, hey, like Otto Kemp's not going 8 for 13 in a 3-game series. I do wonder if Alec Bohm feels that a little bit. Like, it's like, hey, I better come back and hit the ground running because I don't know exactly where I fit into this thing. And is there a lot of pressure on him to perform and kind of show, yeah, I'm the guy. I'm worth it here.
Yeah, good. And good on him if he does. Good on him if he proves it. And I think that the reality of it is, Bob, is that there are multiple options there. Sosa's due back tomorrow. Kemp's played well. Weston Wilson's hit the ball well against left-handers. So there are a lot of potential options there if Alec Bohm is not going well. And so I think when you were putting the thought into your head and thinking about it, I don't necessarily think just because he went 8 for 13 this weekend, you dismiss it. What I think is, it's like, okay, Alec Bohm has shown that he's going to, be the guy to start the playoff run. And very likely in your favorite spot in the lineup for him. I have a feeling he's going to hit 4th.
Oh my God. Dear God.
I'm just saying, they feel like it'll spread the lineup out better. You could have Bader bat 6 and JT hit 7, right? Like, I think you could spread the lineup a little bit better that way. But so I think that's coming. But if Alec Bohm struggles, as he did last year in the postseason, and they benched him last year, I think that you have some options now that could potentially say, yeah, you know what? Have a seat, Alec. We'll put somebody else out there instead of you.
Well, 2 things. Number one, in the 8 games prior to him going on the IL from August 29th through September 7th, he was 3 for 31. And so he was not hitting at all. And you could say, well, it feels a little bit takey to wonder that Weston Wilson or Otto Kemp might potentially take a game or 2 from him in a postseason series. But I would point to exactly what you just said. They did this last year when the offense was sputtering and they were looking for life and looking for a different feel to the lineup. He was the guy that they replaced. And then what followed? A lot of chatter about how he wasn't going to be back here and how they'd probably like to move on. And so he has to perform. I'm not telling you that they are going to go in a different direction or that they're seriously considering it, but I think it'd be foolish to think that he's just penciled in no matter what. And so I think that his performance and the way that he swings the bat starting this past weekend and over these final 5-6 games, however many he ends up playing, I think to some degree matters. If he came back off of a 3 for 31 and had another 9 games in his pocket and went 2 for 32, how do you start him in game 1 of a postseason series?
Yeah.
How do you do it? I wouldn't. And
no,
maybe that makes me a take artist, or, looking for engagement or whatever. But I think that that's something you think long and hard about. Now, the other big takeaway for me, I'm sorry, do you have something you wanted to add to that?
I was just going to say, that's creating a narrative.
It's creating a narrative. We're getting there. Don't worry. We're getting there. We're getting there. So the other thing that has just become kind of like borderline ridiculous at this point, Ryan Kerkering comes in a game yesterday in the 7th inning, and he quickly gets 2 outs, and then he gives up a home run again. This is the 3rd straight appearance now where he's given up a run. 2 of the 3, it's been a home run. Then he gives up 2 more base hits after that, and he finally finishes the inning, so he only allows 1 run, but it's 3 hits. And now if you go back over his last 13 games, and this is dating back to August 19th, he is pitching to a 7.20 ERA, 10 innings pitched, 13 hits, 3 home runs allowed, 7 walks. So 17, that's 20 base runners over his last 10 innings, spanning about a month. We've talked about how David Robertson has probably surpassed him in terms of the trust tree, the hierarchy of the bullpen. This guy right now, it's not even like, well, you got to go to him and just hope. It's almost like you got to stay away from him if it's a meaningful spot.
Yeah, and I will tell you, again, not having not watched his outing yesterday, but I will tell you that they are probably more accepting of what happened yesterday than they were the games when he was walking guys.
Yeah.
So they really just want him to put balls over the plate. Trust your stuff, get into the strike zone, and let the defense play behind you, or you'll let guys swing through it, or whatever the case might be. But stop giving free passes. Stop putting guys on.
Yeah, and if that's the aim, I mean, look, this month he has been in 7 games and he's issued 2 walks in 6 and a third inning. So he has cleaned that up a little bit because the control had escaped him in really from mid-August on through the end of the month. So he is cleaning that up a little bit, but at the same time,
yeah, I don't know. It was the outing, and was it the outing against the Dodgers where he struck out the side but gave up a home run in between?
Yeah,
right. So again, and it was a similar thing. It was like, well, yeah, like he struck out the side in that inning. Yeah, he gave up the home run, but we want him to throw strikes. We want him to throw strikes. Okay, so I think that's kind of what they're going for. Once he's in that mode, now you can try and make your pitches.
Yeah.
Now you got to command it. Now you got to command that sinker and put it where it belongs. Now, I don't know what the home run came off of. Did it come off of a sinker? Did it come off of the slider? I don't know what it came off of. But that's the one that's you got to make sure that those pitches are not in too hittable a spot.
It was a sweeper, kind of like I'll use the Chris Wheeler phrase, middle in.
So,
yeah.
There we go.
Belt high middle in. Okay, so I mean, those were the things that happened in Arizona. I don't know if there's anything else to really take away from what happened this weekend. The Phillies were done a favor finally at the end of that series yesterday between the Giants and the Dodgers, in that Los Angeles loses. It helps because you don't want to get into a situation this week where you're saying, all right, guys, this is getting a little bit weird now.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, the way it sits, one day away or one set of games away from potentially wrapping up this bye. You really don't want to take this into the weekend. That's the last thing you want to see is they come back here now and it's Thursday and this is still hovering over them. So I do want to see them turn it back on here. I don't really care if they finish with 94 wins versus 97 wins. I mean, maybe you're talking about potential World Series matchups and home field advantage. I know how winning games matters and you want to stack the wins. But again, I just don't care at this point. Just find a way to hammer down these final 2 in terms of the magic number, and let's be on with it.
Yes. Everything you just said, 100% yes. That said, Miami Marlins come in here, maybe the hottest team in baseball right now. Nobody's talking about the Miami Marlins because they're not going to make the playoffs. Although, believe it or not, we are in the final week of the season, and somehow that team is still mathematically alive. But
they could pass the Mets before it's all said and done. But can I just say something about the Marlins? And this is fine because of the expectation level. It's totally fine. I'm not calling them frauds because nobody's saying that they're a good team. They had a chance about 5 weeks ago. They were making a move. We were like, here come the Marlins. Here they come. You and I had talked about it. You're like, not so fast. Look at the end of September. That Marlins series is going to be damn tough.
Yeah.
And then they fell apart. Just total free fall, no shot. And now they're playing well again. It's almost like as soon as there was some expectation involved, when they could cross that threshold of the 500 mark, they faltered. Now that the pressure's off, here they come again. And that's better than nothing, but
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Don't fall asleep on this team, because then all of a sudden, if the Dodgers get hot this week and you don't, and then it could get to Thursday, Friday, and this thing's still not locked up yet.
It's interesting. Dodgers are in Arizona. Diamondbacks are kind of on life support here, but they are obviously playing for something. It's not an easy series for the Dodgers, and they finish with the Mariners too. I mean, you look at those final 6 games, and I suspect that the 2 games in the magic number will be ticked off by the Dodgers alone.
Yes.
Better go get one though. Don't carry this into the weekend, because then people are going to say, see the Phillies.
No, you're right.
Vibes have been pretty good here. The outlook has been pretty good on this team. I think that even despite the rough weekend, I think people are on board with these guys. They go out west. I know people haven't been really grinding through the games nightly, or a lot of fans haven't been. So they've kind of been it's weird. They won the division. They played a crazy good series against a potential playoff opponent, but they sort of been out of sight, out of mind a little bit. The Phillies have over the last week. It's so strange because you just haven't really seen them on your TVs. I feel like they're getting lost in the shuffle a little bit here this last week.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, obviously,
You were there, so you're probably like, come on, what are you talking about? But
but this
all
weekend,
the discourse here is about. I mean, like, look, everything's about the Eagles right now. It's just everything's about the Eagles.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
And it will be until the playoffs start.
Yeah, and this was a quick question related to this that David asked. He says, so the team clinches a number 2 spot before the Twin Series. Are we looking at 3 fall training games at the bank? Lots of rest for starters, Stubbs batting 4th, multiple bullpen games. No. And the reason is, well, a couple of reasons. Do I think that you might get a guy off here or there? I mean, I think Real Muto is a guy that maybe gets an extra day off than usual. And I think guys will get a random day off, but I don't think you're going to see spring training type things where you have all the subs in the game or starting a game. The reason is that they don't want they want the bye, they need the break, all that's good, but you got to have Trey Turner coming back next weekend against the Twins. They're going to want him to play those games to see if he's where he's at, right? Bohm is just coming back off an injury. They're going to want him to play. Schwarber is chasing personal records. He's going to be in the lineup all the time. Maybe Bryce gets 1 game off, but can you imagine Bryce Harper getting more than a game off? I can't. No. I don't see it. And the rest of the positions are kind of platoonish, right? Other than Bader, who, he may get a game here or there, whatever.
You don't want these guys sitting on their hands for a week.
Exactly. So
you have to play. I mean, you said it, maybe a game here or there, whatever, but I think you're getting a pretty good shot out of these guys.
And I asked Rob about this in LA because he announced in LA that Sanchez was going to start the last game of the season. And I said to him, what if that game doesn't matter? And he goes, well, then we'll do a pullback. He says, but he's going to start. Like he may not pitch 7 innings, but they want him to make it like it's almost like a bullpen session. So you're probably going to see like a at least 60 pitch outing for him on that final day of the season. So they're going to play. They're going to play these guys. The lineup is going to play, and the pitchers are going to pitch.
All right, now again, a little bit of a shortened episode here today. It's a shame that you were not out there the other night on Friday for what happened between the beat writers that were in Arizona and Nick Castellanos. And I'll let you kind of take the floor on all of this, but I'll just sort of set the stage, I guess. We all know what has happened with him in terms of playing time, and we've all felt that he probably is not thrilled, and who would be, right? And Nick, as everybody knows, has got a way of answering questions in a thoughtful way, but sometimes in an awkward and short way. And it's created some weird moments, I'd say, over time not really between the writers necessarily and him, but it's always a little like, okay, like, how do we interpret what we just heard there?
Well, let me ask you a question first, Bob, before I say what I have to say. As someone who has been on both sides of this, right? You have the fan experience, and you've also been there as a writer and covering these guys, and know what it's like to be in that clubhouse and know how the process works. When you watched the interview, did you think it was unfair?
Good question. So let me tell you what I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was a group of reporters going down the elevator at Chase Field or whatever the hell it's called now, saying like, we have stories to write. Let's get clicks. Like, I saw Kyle Scott, who hired both of us at Crossing Broad, kind of say like it was ridiculous. Like they clearly like. I disagree with that. Like, I don't think that those guys and girls that were there were like, let's get clicks. Let's make a narrative. Like, I don't think that was the intention. I don't. I also think that you have a prominent player whose role has changed. And there were clear issues earlier in the year when he was removed from a game, and there were comments made. And it's a story. And he has a moment, a big moment that night. He hits his 250th career home run. I don't think it's inappropriate to ask what his mindset and approach and mentality is in light of the change in role.
Correct. And that's where I would start, right, with this. Like, I would start with, because I got into some debates. I wrote a column about if people didn't see it, it's at On Pattison. You just find it on there. My Castellanos column. And I wrote that from Niagara Falls. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't even there in Arizona, but this is my take on it, having been around him and these writers all season long. He's the best offensive player in the game. 3 RBIs, it's the 250th home run, really is a key player. And so the angle at the beginning of that interview, the angle is kind of like, hey, you were back at batting practice. This is something you haven't been doing for a while. You started doing the early BP. Do you think that that's kind of helped you? Yes. How are you adjusting? Does this mean you're adjusting to this new role? That you come out and have these good performances when you're given the opportunity. Yeah, and he gives an answer to that. So, but the way he's answering the questions kind of makes it look like he's maybe not 100% saying that, right? Like it's words coming out, but maybe not. So the writers, it's their responsibility. It's our responsibility. I'm not there, but in this is their responsibility. But if I was there, I would include myself. It's our responsibility to then flesh that out a little bit, right? And try and so just one last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you comment here. So how it works. You're in that interview, you're having that interview, and you need to flesh it out a little bit more. And you're not necessarily certain exactly how you're going to ask it because you didn't know that this conversation was going to go this way. And so you're kind of improvising in the moment. And if you stop asking questions, PR staff ends the interview and it's over. You're done. So you got to keep it going, right? And so sometimes you ask a question that maybe you've asked before. Maybe it's not the best question. I've asked a dumb question in the past, but it's done in essence to kind of keep the conversation going until you get to the point where you can ask another question that makes a little bit more sense. And it's not like it's coordinated, but everybody just kind of we're trained. That's how you interview, right? You got to keep the interview going. And then he offers up the most important thing of the night, which is that he doesn't talk to Rob Thompson and the communication's been bad for a long time. Right. That's on the player. That's not the media goading him into saying it.
So I agree. The last thing I want to do here is be like, I'm not going to sit here and be critical of those reporters that were there. I think that most of them are very good, and I don't say most of them to say that one of them isn't. This is how I feel about it. I'll just say what I mean, and I can cut through all the hesitation. I think if you look at the transcript, it looks like to the average fan that you're almost like you're hammering away at it. Like, I didn't get what I wanted. Let me try it this way. I didn't get what I wanted. Let me try it this way. Like, I could see how someone would read the transcript and like think that like, God, just let it go. Right. Like you're creating like, so you would say you're disappointed, or I don't know the exact phrasing of the questions, but like some of it, like it was led with, so it's been hard. Like, well, he didn't say that. Why would you lead with that? But in a conversation that you're trying to look at body language and the way that something's being said by the interview subject. And so you're thinking through it in real time, right? It's not like they went down there with a list of 15 questions, said like, let's just hammer the shit out of this guy until we get what we want out of him and then go upstairs and write our stories. Like, that's not what happened. And I kind of like, the thing that always gets me is like when I look at social media and I see people that are like, why can't you just be happy they won? I'm like, that's not the job. Like, it's not your job to just go down there and be happy that they won. You won't say it because you're down there and you're doing your job. I know in your heart you prefer the Phillies win these games. You will never admit it, but
I'll say it this way, Bob. It's better for the reporters. One of two things is good. Either the team is really good, that's good for us, or the team's in absolute freaking turmoil. That's good for us.
Yeah.
Right. So anything in between is awful. So the team being good is good. It's a good thing. Yes. Right. We want the Phillies to win. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, and so there's this idea like, well, why can't you just be happy and highlight the 250th home run and then be done with it? And you're like, that's not how it works. And you said it. Look, I think he's thoughtful. I think that he's frustrated. This is not like a character attack or anything. Like, I get where he's coming from. Like, if you feel that way, he's entitled to feel that way. And he's entitled to answer the questions however he wants to answer them. The story becomes a story because of how he answered the question.
Correct.
The questions could have been asked and he could have just said, guys, I'm not talking about this anymore. So quit asking, or can we focus on something else? I don't love it. He could even have just said, I don't love it. I'm making the best of it. I want the team to win the World Series. End of story. He's a grown man. Like he's was he 31, 32 years old? Like he answered the question the way that he wanted to answer the question. I'm sure he was annoyed at the line of questioning. I think that he thinks, if I had to guess, I think that he thinks most of the questions that he is asked on a daily basis are stupid. I've always sort of felt like that this is not a good question. I'm going to just kind of do my thing here and answer it the best I can. I don't know that to be true, but that's my sense. And that's fine. He's entitled to feel that way too. But like he answered those questions and he did not have to answer those questions.
Yeah.
So I get it. I do understand from the other side of it. Like, God, like, why are they talking about this? They just clinched a playoff spot. Things are going so well. He had a nice night. Can it just be a nice story? Like, yes and no. Like, he's still the one that took the questions and did what he did with it, you know?
Yes. And two last things I want to just throw in about this real fast. One, I agree with Nick Castellanos that the communication hasn't been the greatest, and I'll tell you why. The reason I think that it's not been the greatest is because I feel like they've kind of misled him a little bit, right? Go back from the start of this whole thing, which goes back to August 1st. And it was one little thing after another that was kind of leading towards him being eventually becoming a platoon player, but they weren't saying it. They were saying, oh, it's the knee. Oh, it's the turf in Texas.
What does that look like in Texas, though, when he doesn't play and they're talking about the turf? Is he going like, why are you lying about it to the media? Just tell it what it is. You're
well, that's what I'm saying.
Bury me. I know what it is. Treat me like a man and tell me what's up. Is he thinking that? Or is he
think so, and that's why he
appreciate that they're trying to spare him some embarrassment. You know what? Hey, Nick isn't playing well. He stinks right now.
Yeah,
we're gonna sit his ass down.
Well, and I think that he preferred the more direct thing because he even said it. He's like, I'm used to my father being more direct and honest with me about it. I think that's what he wanted. So I kind of agree with Nick from that perspective. But here's the other thing that fans got all riled up about, and this needs a real quick clarification because I know you got to run. They were mad that Nick was asked these questions in the post-game show on TV by Ruben Amaro and Scott Fransky.
Yeah, two noted Philly shit stirrers.
Okay, so and then they show the press, the media ask him a question in the clubhouse, and they're like, well, "You guys just asked him this on TV." No, we did not ask him anything. We didn't hear it. We didn't see it. None of that happened because they're walking down to the clubhouse. They're talking to Rob Thompson. They are not hearing that conversation. So that's first and foremost. And secondly, they're broadcasters. They're not reporters. They work in a sense for the team when you think about it, right? Like it's not.
I mean, the on-air thing, like he does what he does. I didn't think there's anything wrong with saying like, "Hey, it's been a little bit of a rough go for you here. How you adjusting? Nice night tonight." Like, I don't see the harm in that. I feel like some fans like, and you can be a fan however you want to be a fan. Like, I'm not telling you how you should feel. If you think that was all nonsense the other night, that's okay. Okay, no problem. But like, I think some fans expect to turn on the post-game show there and see like, animated fireworks shooting off in the background, celebrating his 250th career home run. Like, and let's pretend that none of this other stuff is happening right now. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Exactly. All right, I know you got to run.
Well, I have one last thing, and we'll do one last thing off of all of this. Like, so he feels that the communication's poor. We sat here earlier in the week, I guess, or last week, and talked about Rob Thompson as a possible National League Manager of the Year. And one of the things that I had kind of lauded was that he has navigated a tough situation, and the team has responded and playing well. And Nick Castellanos' feelings aside, like that is true. They're getting more production out of these outfield spots, and the way that they are going right now makes them much more formidable. And like, I still give Rob Thompson credit for that. I had said though that, well, clearly this was a tough situation. It required some degree of massaging of egos and personalities, and he's clearly done that well. Well, maybe not. If you're Rob Thompson in this moment, are you sitting there on Friday night after it gets back to you how that interview went and said like, do you think that he was sincere in saying, well, look, it's my, if a player is saying I'm not communicating well, no matter who it is, then that is something I need to take into account and do a better job of? Or do you think that there's a piece of Rob Thompson sitting there and saying like, yo, man, you have gone through just wretched stretches for this team over the last handful of years, and we have played you every day, like every day. So how dare you now that we have gotten to this point, after you have been bad, how dare you go out there and say to these reporters and do this whole little show and say like, oh, the reporters they created the narrative, and you can't just say, I'm all right, I don't love it, I'm a competitor, I want to compete, let's turn the page. Don't you as a human being kind of go, come on, dude?
Yeah. I mean, you heard what Rob said when he was asked about this the next day. He said, maybe I have to be better at communicating. He said, but the other thing is that door's always open.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's like
putting it on him. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a problem.
You don't get.
You come in and talk. Yeah. You come in and talk to me about it too. Yeah. Look, I think that the one interesting thing out of all this is that nothing's going to change. They're going to keep platooning. I think that the last Phillies thing I want to say is I think Johan Rojas is going to be on this playoff roster. And I think he is, because what they're going to do is they're going to start Kepler and Marsh, and then if they feel like a team brings a lefty in to face them, they can pinch hit Castellanos and then put Rojas in the field for defensive purposes if need be. So I think that's going to happen, which means one of Weston Wilson or Otto Kemp is not going to be on the playoff roster.
Yeah, I think it's Kemp. But
probably Kemp. All right, one last thing, Bob, I just want to throw at you from around the league. We talked about the craziness of the NL wildcard race right now. The Mets are out of it at this point. They're tied, but if the season ended today, the Reds would get in. Have you paid attention to what's going on in the American League Central?
Yeah, just an all-time surge here by Cleveland,
and a collapse by the Tigers.
By the Tigers at the same time. It's unbelievable to watch how this.
And now they play
out.
each other.
Yeah,
they play each other this week for the division, basically.
Who do you take there? I mean, they come in. The Tigers are clinging to a 1-game lead. They're 1-9 in their last 10. The Guardians are 9-1 in their last 10. They've made up 8 games in the last 10.
Yes,
this is. I mean, it's wild, and it's going to be cool to see these two go head to head with it probably all on the line here.
Skubal goes tonight for Detroit. If they can't win this game, Cleveland's going to win the division.
It's crazy. And impressive given what they've had to navigate this year. I mean,
yes, yes, so. Especially because of that. And by the way, just to wrap it up, could the Jacob Young play have happened to a better team yesterday?
First of all, 2 takes. No, it could not have. And 2, I think it might be time to contract the New York football franchises into one team. Like we've arrived. I mean, you just imagine, regardless if you're a Jets fan or a Giants fan, and if you happen to be a Mets fan with it, you watch yesterday, that game happened against the Nationals, who are not a good team, and they're throwing AAA pitchers basically. And then you have that play happen to you, you lose. And then simultaneously, if you're a Jets fan, you come back, you block a field goal, score, take the lead late, only to get your heart broken, fall to 0-3, or you're a Giants fan and you wait to watch your 0-2 football team that absolutely stinks play on national television and lose in one of the most pathetic ways possible. I mean, the Giants offense last night made the Eagles offense look like the 0-1 Rams.
Yes, and you forgot one other little item for those New York fans. Indiana Jones is going crazy with the Colts.
Yeah, meanwhile, Daniel Jones is like the best quarterback in football through 3 weeks. I mean, it's like just a level of misery that is hard to comprehend, frankly.
Philadelphia fans should revel in the fact, because you never get an opportunity to make fun of New York as much as you can.
It's never really like
right
this.
Now.
It's never really like this, and it probably won't be again for a very long time. So yes, bask in it in the moment.
Bask in it, revel in it. It's awesome. All right, we have to cut it short. Bob's gonna go pick up the kids, and I gotta actually, relax for a minute. So I'm finally home. But thanks for tuning into this episode of Fighting Words. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast. Best place to subscribe though is right here on YouTube. Click the thumbs up, ring the bell. Make sure you never miss a show. You'll get an alert every time Bob and I go live, which could be at 8:00 in the morning or 3:30 in the afternoon. You never know when it's going to be. If you're listening in the podcast feed, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@fightingwords. For Bob Wankel, I'm Anthony Sanfilippo saying the Phillies are going to win 2 out of 3 against the Marlins. Bob, agree?
I agree. Yes.
Phillies win 2 out of 3 and clinch the bye, and then we will talk about that on Fridays. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great week.